Fred Smith, it's great having you. It's great being here. And I really want to say, first off, I thank you for letting me interview you. So, we're going to start this interview off plain and simple, just with a few simple questions. How did you start creating art?
Just grew up drawing, grew up wanting to build things. I have memories of wanting to build like furniture and things like that. Sculptural, I guess, like, you know, like I always had something in me that wanted to make something. Like I remember being 5 and wanting to build something, you know? But I just think like over time it developed through seeing people around me, meeting people, meeting older guys, meeting older people, whoever that would make stuff, and I'd be really attracted to it. My dad was a builder. My grandfather was a builder. You know, technical more, like less art, more technical type stuff. So over time, it just developed where I started to make things. Like I made stuff in high school. I took art classes during high school. You know, did all the normal kid stuff. You know. And it got to a certain point where, as I got older, I just realized that I was way more attracted to that than I was to anything else. And it just kind of developed, working different jobs, working production, fashion week, things of that nature in New York. You know, just over time, like all those experiences, all the different materials, all the different instances where I was doing something kind of rolled over into me realizing I could use all of that stuff that I've learned, that I've been exposed to create my own work. And painting, you know, painting is just, that's like, I don't want to say it's the baseline, but like for me as an artist, like painting is one of the easiest ways to get into art, you know? And it's the most simple way to be creative. So, you know, I'd say just every instance in my life kind of just led me to that point where it was like, this is how I feel comfortable expressing myself, you know? Like, I'm not a writer, you know, I'm not very good at public speaking. But I felt comfortable creating ideas based off, or creating imagery based off ideas in my head. Do you know what I mean?
So you talked about creating works, the difference between your sculptures and paintings. How do you work, and what is the process of making a Fred Smith artwork?
I mean, generally it starts off just a simple idea. Like I get a lot of different ideas, and I'm the type of person where like I like to break things down and put them back together in my head. So sometimes I'll have a thought, like I mean, it's a simple thought. Maybe somebody said something to me when I was 5, you know, and that's stuck in my head. Or maybe something happened the morning of, you know, or I'll wake up from a dream and I'll have an idea, you know. And then I just kind of think of the best way that I would want it. Like, you know, you get a vision in your head. You know what I mean? And that vision starts to like build up and form how you're going to go about creating whatever that is, or if it's even worth creating, you know? Like anybody, like, you know, you have a million notes written down. I have an iPad full of ideas. I have all these different things that I use as, you know, like logs basically. And sometimes I'll get like an idea formed immediately, and sometimes I'll have to write it down and I'll have to come back to it, or I'll make a sketch, you know, for a painting, but then I'll turn into a sculpture halfway through, or maybe like to make a better painting, I'll make a sculpture because I really want to see the physicality of the object or the physicality of the idea. I mean, it could honestly start anyway. It's kind of like, you know, like flipping a coin, you know, like there's a randomness to it, but also at the same time, there's a process within that randomness. And sometimes I make art as many different ways as possible because I really, really want to see all sides of the thing. You know, as I move on in art, like I develop, you know, my visual language and the way that I like to express myself, I'm starting to realize that the further I go along, it's probably going to turn into more like installations or some sort of like space that you walk into, you know, like I'm creating a world within these paintings, and eventually I will want to create that world in a physical way that people can actually experience it, you know? And yeah, it's usually like the simplest idea, man. Like it could be stubbing my toe a certain way, you know what I mean? It could be catching my shirt on a doorknob. It could be, you know, having an interesting conversation with a stranger on the street, you know what I mean? Like it's all the instances in life that any of us have. I just feel a need to like develop those ideas further, and it's just for, you know, for my own benefit on some level. It's not for, yeah, it's not to like in the end, it's not to make the work, it's for me to understand what's going on in my life, So